this community is really hungry to grow and really excited to adapt new ideas and take them further.
It's really exciting and really fun, but yeah, I think biggest learning is just you have to stay up to date. You have to just never stop. That's the thing.
Hello everyone, and welcome yet to another episode of NEWFORUM. NEWFORUM is powered by NewCoin Foundation and is focused on fostering decentralized social applications, also known as Social 3.0, by forming an ecosystem and a community of visionaries, creators, and investors to spark conversations on the topics of crypto and Web3 culture.
And on this episode of NEWFORUM, we're super excited to have Ebby and Ari. They're the co-founders of With Ariel, a company that tracks climate footprints of NFTs, crypto, travel, and more. They have a diverse industry and work experience contributing to companies such as Facebook, Microsoft, Google, Apple, and the list goes on. We can't wait to hear more about With Ariel and all their innovative ideas and vision in shaping Web3 to be more sustainable. Hey, Ebby and Ari, nice to meet you. We're excited to have you on NEWFORUM.
Thank you for having us.
How are you guys doing today?
Yeah, I think we're a little exhausted. We're here at NFT LA this week. And it's been a lot of NFT events. We've been making an effort to get out to more in-person things and meet more people working in the space and, find new ways to collaborate and contribute. But, being in person at events is something we all lost our muscle for a little bit. So it's been a little exhausting going out and, meeting so many people for the first time in a long time.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for, making the time to join us. It sounds like you guys have a busy schedule and yeah, we appreciate that. So what got you really excited about working in the crypto space?
For us, it was almost a little accidental. We started off building our app that helps you track and offset your carbon footprint. And we really wanted to give people like an easy way to take action and take the first steps into being a bit more environmentally responsible and conscientious about their habits and behaviors and how they can make a difference. And it wasn't until this NFT craze sort of blew up that people came looking to us and asking, what can you do about the environmental impact of blockchains? What can you do about the impact of NFTs? And that's really the moment we dove in from a professional perspective. I mean, I think we all kind of, messed around with crypto, bought some coins here or there, and maybe, saw the news of like, oh, wow, this NFT craze is really blowing up. So that was the moment where, quite a few artists started reaching out. I think our first customer was Calvin Harris. And then we went all in and realized this is a huge, not only like a huge space and a huge opportunity, but also on the environmental side, a huge part of the problem that we need to solve as well.
Yeah, so I'm wondering, you guys both have a very rich background working with companies such as Apple, Facebook, Google, and Microsoft. And how did this experience shape you to get involved into Web3 and become founders yourself? Like saying, okay, we have this idea and now we're gonna do this, or people come to us with a problem and we actually want to act on it?
Yeah, I can take that one. I think a lot of it, throughout your work experience, you sort of see how you can iterate and make products and build experiences that are high quality and are a joy to use. And I think that's something that the three of us really prioritize. Like, we all have a really great vision for how we want these tools to behave and how we want people to interact with them. And I think we all know that crypto and blockchain have had this problem where you have a new technology that has so many amazing possibilities, but getting people on board, making it easy to use is something that is a real challenge. So yeah, I think our past experiences working at design-led companies have really helped us prioritize great experiences and things that people can emotionally connect with. And that's really a main tenet of what we do. Like, we want our brand to be something that resonates with people, and is enjoyable. You look at Arial and it's not really anchored in traditional sustainability design languages. It's more something new. We tried to look to that. So yeah, I think from my side, that's what I would say is the thing that my experience has shaped, really. Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, like, it would be really nice, since you're both co-founders of With Ariel, it would be really nice to kind of like hear. I think you touched on it a little bit in the beginning, but I think it would be nice to kind of hear like the vision, like mission, and why it matters to track the footprint of Web3 technology.
Yeah, I think we got started just looking for ways to quantify emissions as sort of our tenet, and then once you can fit numbers to the problem, you can start to get a sense of the scale and get a sense of the solutions, and then really, I think, make measurable strides forward. So that's kind of the outlook we started with, and I think our secret sauce is really focused on quantifying those emissions. And then in Web3, what we found is, with blockchain technology, everything is accountable, everything is out there in the open, and it really lent itself to sort of this model we had aspired to fit to the real world, into this metaverse, you could say. And on top of that, this Web3 community, which is a very unique thing in and of its own, really put environmental awareness first, and really made it a priority to take account of emissions and be as environmentally friendly as possible. And so for us, that sort of set a template that we can work on this model where any new product built or introduced into the world, especially digital products, can be net zero, and then maybe that can expand outside of the metaverse into the real world as well. And what we found is that we're getting the opportunity to work with some of the biggest artists in the world, some of the biggest brands in the world on their Web3 products or their NFT drops and experiences like those. And it gives us an avenue to offset and work on creating a more sustainable model in the real world. So for us, it's been in a ways a sandbox to really see how an environmentally friendly world can operate.
I think you touched on good things that, I think with our generation, it's like people want to see a change within sustainability, and they want to have also transparency. We see that within Web3, how people want to join Web3 and want to join this movement kind of because they also want more inclusion and transparency in things. And can you maybe quickly explain like what is the problem with some of the NFT projects that are out there, or what is the things that we are facing, and then where the product that you guys are building comes in, and what is like the user journey maybe a bit?
So I think first and foremost, we don't really like our outlook on NFTs is not problematic. I know there's a lot of stigmatisms when it comes to NFTs and their carbon footprint. We, see it as something that, like, yes, there are emissions associated with blockchain technology and blockchain usage. It's a problem that technology will solve, and we're here to be a part of that conversation and help solve it together. You can't really point at one NFT project and be like, that was bad. But I think it's important that until there are longer term solutions like Ethereum 2.0 that's going to move to a proof of stake model that is a lot more energy efficient than the current proof of work model, offsetting is a step to achieve that. And on top of that, we also have a roadmap of how to help kind of blockchain technologies, or like, for instance, like Ethereum usage and NFT drops to become more sustainable over time. So I think it's really about taking care of some of the externalities that exist now with blockchain technology and helping these NFT collections become more environmentally friendly. And then also working as a part of the industry, working within the blockchain community to help the new technologies in the direction that these technologies are going in be more efficient out of the gate.
Yeah, and on the user journey side that you mentioned, just to give everyone a picture of how it works, we basically have a landing page for anyone to drop their collection address or the address of their artwork in, and then they can automatically see the amount of carbon used to, run that contract. So what we've done is made it really simple. You can, see how many carbon credits you need to purchase to offset that artwork, and then you can easily do that either through fiat or Ethereum. So yeah, I think that's sort of the overall quick way it works. And then we also have services for bigger companies, brands that we've been partnering with, where we do things in a more tailored way. We also have an API, so companies like Shopify have been using our API to offset things automatically, which has seen it's really been interesting because people are emailing us every day. We want to use your API. We want to understand the effects of what we're working on. And it's great to see the excitement around this area of the Web3 space.
That's awesome. And so we're talking about like sort of the user experience and whatnot. And I'm just like wondering, like from a product design perspective, what are some of the user challenges that users face, within Web3 products, and how can we make it better, like more efficient? How can we make more efficient products?
Yeah, I think something that I've been speaking to other designers, in Web3 about is just how do we get people on board and help them understand things in a simple way. I don't know if you look at any collection right now and you scroll down their landing page, there's an FAQ section with about maybe 8 to 10 points on how to connect your wallet. What is a wallet? How do you get started? And I think those barriers sort of need to be broken down in ways that, for instance, we log in with the username and password, which was super technical, maybe 20 years ago. A lot of people are like, what's a username, what's a password, what is identity online? So I think it's just making those ideas and concepts really simple for people. And then also allowing people to understand what it's like when you're in charge of your own security and you have ownership over your assets. But that means you have to really understand what you can and can't do with them, and make sure you hold on to them. And in the case of sustainability, you can be responsible for the impact of your wallet or your holdings. You can go and offset your own assets. You can make sure that you transact on more sustainable blockchains. So it's really exciting because people have control over what they can and can't do, but also it requires a lot of research and it requires a lot more thinking than just using Face ID to log into your bank or Instagram. So yeah, I think there's a lot of exciting problems to solve, and we've been learning a lot through building these tools.
That's cool. And you mentioned, like, I guess like these creators or artists having control over their data somewhat and having control over the experience to some extent. And so I'm wondering, like, what sparked like you guys' interest in decentralization? I mean, it's such a big thing, and I think that Web3 isn't necessarily fully decentralized. And I mean, if you have any thoughts on that, sometimes people say, yeah, it is. Others say, it's partially centralized, right? And so what would you guys say? Do you have any thoughts on that?
It's interesting going to more of these events in person, actually, like this great NFT LA last month I was at ETH Denver, for instance. And there's increasing show of like NFT collections who are doing events, or DAOs who are showing up. And online everything looks very decentralized, and then in person you realize these are just groups of people who are figuring out ways to take a traditionally working sort of business model or traditionally run collective of people and find ways to make it decentralized bit by bit. And that's been like a really interesting transition of people trying to figure out ways to not only make the blockchain or the transactions from a technical level decentralized, but also on an organizational level. From our perspective, I think it's pretty cool to just see that a lot of that includes being environmentally friendly. A lot of that includes putting values forward. A lot of that includes giving priority to women and minorities. And, that's a big theme or thread you see in a lot of these Web3 events and conversations. So I think if anything, it's opened the doors to a bit more of an open society, a bit more open-minded society. And it's something you wouldn't necessarily read in the technology itself, but it's sort of the culture that it's breeding as a result. And so I think we're excited to see where that grows and excited to be a part of that conversation as well.
I think you guys are in a very interesting space because it seems like you're kind of like the first people really just focusing on this ethical footprint of Web3 products. And yeah, I'm guessing, like you said, there are going to be a lot of people asking for these things and really have to, take track all of their products and what they are doing on the blockchain. And I think it's really admirable, like what you guys are building, and that you can see that by the reaction of the people, and like you said, also the events and meeting people in person. Like, what has been your overall biggest learning experience with founding this company?
Good question.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think you learn so many new things, every day, every week. I think my biggest takeaway is just, you always have to stay on top of things. You always have to be updated. You have to be active on Twitter. You have to be in all of these Discord channels. And it can be overwhelming, but it's very different from the Web2 landscape where you could just, sort of wait for the things to come to you, either through email or, new tools or new ideas. Like, they would come at a really set cadence. For instance, if you worked on iOS, you'd have maybe 2 or 3 Apple events a year, and you would keep up to date with those, and you'd get a couple new libraries, and you sort of learn that, and it'd be fine. And now it's like every week or every 3 days, there's a new product and a new team building a new thing, and you're just like, oh, I have to, rethink how I, build this, or maybe create something for this use case, So it's really exciting and really fun. But yeah, I think biggest learning is just, you have to stay up to date. You have to just never stop. That's the thing.
I think on the flip side, like something that's been really interesting or learning on my end is this community is really hungry to grow and really excited to adapt new ideas and take them further than even we necessarily think out of the gate. Coming from the Web2 world, I was just kind of in this mindset where every product needs to be over polished, everything needs to be over branded, everything needs to be advertised and sold to people to really make them feel like they need it, even if they don't. And in Web3, what we've been able to do is put out, the skeleton of an idea, put out a basic product experience, and have this very hungry community come and start using the product, start giving us ideas, start telling us what direction they want the product to go in. And that's been really not only reassuring, but for being in a space that doesn't exactly exist. This environmental space is something we're sort of pioneering as we go. It's something that's let us grow and let us develop in a way that I don't think could have existed in the Web2 world. So that's been a big takeaway. And I think going forward, it's a bit, it's kind of inspiring us like, oh, let's get products out faster. Let's see how people respond. And let's try more things than we would have otherwise in a Web2 context.
Yeah, those are really great learnings. And I guess it's really nice that you could share that with us and with our community. And I think that that's like the beauty of Web3, where you get to build with a community, right? Versus Web2, it's been done and you just take it as it is, you either you take it or you leave it, kind of. And so that's really interesting. So I know you two are really big on, sustainability and however, like you said, the space is still relatively new and we're all working to build, to shape it, but then it involves traveling, right? You have to move around a lot. And so I'm just curious to know, how can I as an individual offset my carbon footprint? How do you guys kind of keep that in your mind as you move around?
Yeah, well, so this kind of goes back to the first product we built, and I'll give you a little tour of it here. So this is our mobile product for Ariel. It automatically tracks all of my flights and Ubers and Lyfts, and we give people an easy way to automatically offset through a subscription. And this was our first stab at getting involved into the environmental space, because we were traveling so much, especially prior to COVID, that we kind of went in and realized that, like, if anyone needs to be accountable, it's us. So that was the first product we set out to build, is something that could help us mitigate our footprint from traveling so much. And I think what I've found over the years, I mean, we've had this product out for a couple of years now. You can go back into 2020 and 2021 and look at the your footprint figures overall over those years, and kind of get a breakdown. And I have like kind of a mental limit now. Like, I try and keep my emissions under like 7,000 pounds, or in something like 12,000 kilograms, or just to try and beat myself every year. Like, do I need to go on that long trip? Do I need to, maybe I can sort out my itineraries to minimize how many flights are involved, and take advantage of little hacks like that.
I just want to say compliment, like, it looks really easy and nice and inviting also, I think. And having that when you travel, or having, in general, having your overall emission and footprint in mind will just help to raise the conversation. And just having it in your mind is just like, okay, this is my limit, or I will make more conscious decisions. And I think that's really positive.
Yeah. We kind of like it to using Fitbit, or something like that. Maybe 10 years ago, no one really kept track of their steps or their calories or anything like that. But once these trackers are out there, people start thinking about it. They start putting a number to it. And so we just wanted to do something similar with carbon emissions, so people could understand, like, oh, this is my piece of the puzzle. It's not just these big global headlines of like Paris Accords or global doom. It's like, this is my bit in it, and this is what I can do to offset that, or to make a change. And also, I'll plug that we also launched our Android app yesterday. So if there was anyone who wanted to download us, we're now available on iOS and Android.
Awesome. I think these are really great points. And I think that once you can see once you have some sort of clarity of what you're doing, what you're involved in, you can have some sort of control over it. Because when I'm traveling, I never think about anything. I'm just like, I'm trying to get somewhere, and that's all I'm thinking about. So I think it's really great that you have this app that people can track, and they can, pretty much work towards making better decisions like you have suggested. So I think that I was going to ask you, like, what advice will you give to just individuals, not necessarily people in Web3, but just people in general? Like, how can they manage this?
Yeah, so that was also one of the approaches with the app. And so we have like this really simple guide, but similar to like Instagram stories, of what you can do to reduce your like your plastic use, for instance, or make your household more efficient. So this is sort of like one avenue where just being a little bit more educated helps. And what we wanted to do is give people that first step into the process, and kind of let them be more aware of the different actions they can take to improve. But it's certainly like it's an open conversation. This is something that like we're trying to do bit by bit, and more by more, like not only for individuals, but for companies, or for kind of larger entities. I don't know if you had anything to add on that.
No, yeah, I think that's sort of what we've been focusing on, just having the component of awareness of your own footprint, the ability to take action, and the ability to also learn more, educate yourself, having credible sources of information within the app that give you actionable choices to take day to day. That's sort of been our priority, and we're sort of trying to build on those three pillars, because there's no point in telling people what they're doing wrong if they can't do anything about it. So you want to give them the tools to do something.
Yeah, I think well said. Having that awareness and being able to track your carbon footprint is really, really important. And I think that you guys are like doing something great. And I just really like that any question I asked, you guys like already nailed it. You already had a solution for it. I'm like, okay. So that's really awesome. And thank you guys so much for, for joining us today. I think you both said really amazing, made amazing points, and it's like perfect timing to wrap up. So I want to say thank you again. Really appreciate your time with us. And where can our community find you on your social platforms?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you so much for having us. It's really great to be able to share what we're working on with you, and also we love that you are in this Web3 space, not only from the technical side, but you're also looking at the culture behind it, and that's something that's really resonated with us, and a really unique kind of angle that you take. So thanks again for having us. Probably the best way to find us is on Instagram or Twitter. We're at with Ariel, and otherwise, keep an eye out for some new products we have in the pipeline, and then we'll be engaging people on a couple different channels as well soon.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ari and Abby, and I'm definitely going to try out that app. And yeah, thank you so much for the community who tuned in today. And if you want to also follow us and engage with us more, we are on Instagram, Twitter, NEWFORUM_NCO, and also NewCoin. And we have a private Telegram group where we talk about everything Web3 related. And yeah, thank you so much for taking the time today with us, and we see you in the next NEWFORUM.